How many times do you make a comment that you think is completely innocent and then someone calls you racist? Or you think of something to say but decide not to in fear of someone calling you racist? Like, there's no measure for if something's racist or not. Anyone and everyone can just claim anything is racist or not. And I'm pretty open about my thoughts, you know? Like, I'll usually say something without giving it much thought. Like, after I say it, yeah, maybe that came off a little bit racist. But it's kind of hit and miss most of the time. Depends on who you're talking to, really. But then there's some people who just call racist on anything remotely color related. So how do you know if something you're about to say or do is racist? Do we just have to live in fear and never say anything in case it might be considered racist? No! So it got me thinking, right? What actually makes something racist? If we can answer that, then surely we can work out some sort of scoring system. Alright, so I thought I'd start with the definition of racist. Google gave me one or two results for this. To be racist, you have to believe that a particular race is superior to another. So it sounds like there's a bit of a grey area when it comes to jokes, right? For example, I joke about one of my Indian friends being a taxi driver or a dairy owner all the time, which he hates. Obviously I don't believe that. He's actually more skilled than me. So how can we check if something we say or do is racist? Well, that's an excellent question. Let's look at 5 things that can make something racist. The more things that apply, the more racist it is. Alright, so say you're about to make a comment you think might be racist. Number 1. Is it about an entire race? So anything that includes a statement or assumption about an entire race. This could be anything as simple as, Asians always look so young. So if you're saying something like that, give yourself 1 tick. Number 2. It's not factually or statistically backed. Now this is a difficult one to prove, since we're not all ready with a scientific study to back up our comments. For this one, you just have to think about it logically. Is the message you're saying actually true in your opinion? So if it's not factual, give yourself another tick. Number 3. You wouldn't say it if it were about another race. Now this one's similar to the first one, but specifically focuses on whether what you're saying or doing would apply to any other race. For example, if someone's loitering in a store and slips something into their coat, you'd probably react the same regardless of their race, right? So asking them if they're gonna pay for that probably isn't racist. However, 50 odd years ago, when there was racial segregation, a white person might say, black people are dirty, so they can't eat with us. But they wouldn't say the exact same thing about whites, for example. So if that's the case, give yourself another tick. Number 4. Would it have the same effect if you were a different race? Now this one's similar to the last one, but instead of being about a different race, it's about you being a different race. In other words, would it be okay for you to say or do what you're about to do if you were a different race? Like, if you're dropping N-bombs, it better be okay for me to as well. But if what you're saying or doing is going to have the same effect regardless of your race, then give yourself another tick. And number 5, does it have anything to do with colour? Now some people will take anything about colour and make it racist. For example, I love white jelly beans, but I hate black jelly beans. In fact, I'd eat any colour of jelly bean before eating a black one. Some people might see that as being racist, because some people are stupid. So even though this is the stupidest one, and probably doesn't belong on this list, just to be safe, if what you're saying has fucking anything at all to do with colour, just give yourself another tick. Alright, so before I explain how the scoring system works, I want to give a few honourable mentions. Number 1, do you actually believe it? Now, you can't really prove this, and whether you're joking about it or not, the other person might assume you actually believe it, so I wouldn't rely on this one. And number 2, are you saying it in an offensive way? Now, this doesn't really matter, because being offensive has nothing to do with racism. And it's not like you can tell if someone's going to find it offensive. Like, I'm offensive to all kinds of people all the time, but that alone doesn't make it racist. Okay, so now I've got a bunch of ticks. What does it mean? Well, it's very simple actually. The more ticks you have, the more racist it is. For example, if your joke or comment or whatever doesn't qualify for any of those 5 checks, you can safely go on knowing it's not racist. But if you ticked all 5 boxes, well then you're a fucking 5-star racist, and you're probably going to get shot in the street. So you want to aim for 0 out of 5, and if you happen to tick 1 or 2 boxes, you're probably safe. Well, you might have to do some explaining, but you're probably safe. But the more ticks you get, the more likely it's going to be that you get your face stomped in. Alright, so let's try out the checklist on a few different scenarios. A white person saying to a black person, "Nice shirt." Seems simple enough. Let's have a look. Number 1. Well, it's not about an entire race, so no tick. Number 2. It's not exactly a fact, but it's your honest opinion, so no tick. Number 3. It's a nice shirt, so you'll probably say it no matter who was wearing it, so no tick. And number 4. Again, doesn't really matter what race you are, you like the shirt, no tick. And number 5. Nothing to do with color, just a nice fucking shirt, no tick. So 0 out of 5, that's safe. Even if you say it in a sarcastic way, it might be insulting, but it's not racist. Okay, so next let's change it up a bit. This time, it's a white person saying to a black person, "Nice black shirt." Number 1. Okay, so still not about an entire race, just about the shirt, no tick. Number 2. Still just your opinion about the shirt, just a little more descriptive, no tick. And 3 and 4, again, doesn't matter what race you or they are, so no ticks here either. And finally, number 5, this time you mentioned the color, and the person might take that in an offensive way, so we get 1 tick here. So 1 out of 5, still pretty safe, but you might get some strange looks. So let's change it up again. This time, the white person saying, "Look at that black motherfucker with a black shirt." Okay, so that sounds pretty bad, but let's have a look. Number 1. It's still got nothing to do with an entire race, so no tick. Number 2. It's still pretty factual, even if offensive, so no tick. Number 3. Yeah, so calling him a motherfucker might be offensive, but it's not racist. You could say that about anyone. And even though this does mention the person's race, it is used to describe or identify them. But you probably could identify them without using the color of their skin in this case. So this gets another tick. Number 4. This would be no different coming from anyone, so no tick. And number 5, it's still about color, so gotta give it another tick. So 2 out of 5, not bad, still reasonably safe, but you might have some explaining to do. Alright, this time the white person is saying to the black person, "Hey black guy, nice black shirt." Number 1. Still just about one guy and one shirt in this case, so no tick. Number 2. Still just your opinion about the shirt, so no tick. And number 3. Yeah, so again, describing him as a black guy is probably unnecessary when it's obvious who you're talking to, so 1 tick. Number 4. And you probably wouldn't be saying black guy if you were a different race, so that's another tick. And 5. Again, this is still about color, so that's another tick. So 3 out of 5, you might have pissed someone off, but you're probably not going to get curb stomped. Alright, so how can we make this worse? What if the white guy said, "That black guy looks like he stole that shirt"? Now that's more like it. Number 1. In this case, it's just about the one guy, not about the race. He could be dressed like a criminal after all, so no tick. Number 2. This could depend on other factors, but from the comment alone, it seems based on a stereotype, and because they said black guy and not just guy, it sounds like they're assuming he stole it because he's black, so gotta give it a tick. And number 3. Again, this depends on the situation, but assuming it's just a random stranger, they're probably only saying it because of race. And because nothing other than the person's race is used to describe them as a criminal, we gotta give it a tick. Number 4. This comes down to why they're saying it. But because it's probably based on a stereotype that other races may not share, gotta give it a tick. And number 5, again, still about color, so give it a tick. Alright, so yeah, maybe that was a bit vague and subjective, but you have to assume the worst, so overall it's probably somewhere between 3 and 4 either way. Okay, last example for this one. If the white person says, "All black guys probably stole a shirt." Alright, so number 1, in this case, yes it is about a whole race, so that's 1 tick. And this is just obviously not true, so another tick. And no, you wouldn't say it about any race, because it's obviously based on a stereotype, and you wouldn't say it if you were a different race, and it's obviously about color. So, 5 out of 5, you racist bastard. Alright, I wanted to give a bunch of other examples, but I also want to wrap this up. Feel free to use your own examples and see how racist it comes out. By the way, if we change the above 5 examples I used to being a black guy saying it, the result will be exactly the same. If something's racist, it's racist regardless of who says it. And this doesn't only apply to things you say, it works just as well for things you do. Like if you're hiring someone and you're looking over the job applications and you narrow it down to a black guy and a white guy of equal ability, if you're swayed one way over the other simply because of their color, you might want to quickly run through the checklist again. Obviously this isn't perfect, and I actually just thought most of this shit up on the spot. It's just meant to give you an idea of what's racist and what's not before you say it, because at the moment it seems like there's no real way of determining what's racist. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Feel free to leave a comment telling me why you think I'm a cunt, and how everything I said offended you somehow. Or, if you're not a douche, also feel free to leave some constructive feedback.